Okay. Okay, just leave this.
That are under threat, and it's really crucial that the climate movement actually backs up without review, because it's only together we're gonna win the position that we want to see. First of all, we're gonna have a short speech from Alan Davies from Community, who's who's the biggest union at Port Talbot. Alan also used to work at Port Talbot Steel, and is now sort of leading the fight for a better deal with Tata. And you want to
come out there, or
I think that makes sense. I'm sorry the traffic is so loud. Can people hear it? Great.
All right, thank you everybody. My name's Alan Davis, as Bolton said earlier on. I'm the National Officer for Steel for Community, the Steelworkers Union. It's a pleasure here to speak here today, and I thank Greenpeace and the New Economy Organiser for extending the invitation to our union. In years gone by, you might have been surprised to see a steel worker and an environmentalist sharing the same podium, singing from the same hymn sheet about the need to decarbonise and a greener economy. But that's exactly where we are today. And the reason for that is simple. The green agenda and the steel agenda go hand in hand. The truth is, you can't build a green economy without a healthy steel industry, whether it be for offshore or onshore wind turbines, electric cars, energy efficient buildings, or any form of green infrastructure, whether it be public or private sector. Steel is a critical key component, and there is no reason why we shouldn't produce that steel here in the UK, as we have so much experience and expertise. There's been a tendency in some quarters of the media to portray steel workers as old-fashioned and resistant to change. I'm here to tell you today that is not true. We accept that our industry needs to adapt, and the decarbonisation is absolutely essential for us all and for our planet. In fact, at our union conference in Brighton last month, we voted in favour for investment into decarbonised steel technologies, and it passed unanimously. All we're asking for, though, is a just transition, one that brings steel workers along with the ride, rather than cast them onto the scrap heap. For years now, our union has been calling for government to provide proper support for our industry to decarbonise. Yet instead of the ambitious programme of the European countries that put forward to help the steel sector decarbonise, this previous Conservative government signed off on a bargain basement job cut with Tata. The deal, which Tata is still intent to push ahead, would see £500 million worth of taxpayers' money used to decimate UK's primary steelmaking capacity. It would also leave Britain reliant on imports from heavy polluting countries such as China and India. So we wouldn't be cutting carbon emissions, we'd be exporting UK steelworkers' jobs, importing dirty steel from China and India, and damaging our planet even further in the process. It makes absolutely no sense. We are still fighting to safeguard the futures of Port Talbot, Flamworth in Newport, and the other downstream sites affected by Tata's bad deal for steel. We will do everything we can to support our members, and will continue to speak up for the alternatives to Tata and their destructive proposals. These are difficult times for us all, but we still have a reason for optimism. After 14 years of failure from the Tory government, we now have a Labour government which recognises the strategic importance for steel in our environment, and for our economy, and for our proud steel communities, like my own in South Wales. In last week's King's speech, we heard more about Labour's plan for £3 billion of investment through the Green Steel Fund, something which will be an absolute game changer for us all. There was also a commitment to a proper industrial strategy, which the community has been calling on for many years. It goes without saying we will continue to lobby the Labour government just as vigorously as we did the Conservatives And where there's a need to challenge ministers, we will not be afraid to do that. Our members will always come first, but it will make a huge difference to deal with a government which understands the need for a fair and just transition. A government which stands to get to grips with many of the challenges our sector faces on decarbonisation, on procurement, on what with industrial energy prices the UK steelmakers face. And a government which is also ready to listen to trade unions, not demonise them like the previous one. I'd like to finish by thanking you all today for coming with us. When we feel our backs against the wall, it's good to have you here with us. Sorry. We'll continue to make our case to Tata and steel workers at all levels. And we continue to fight for our need to fight for steel industry, for our jobs, for our security and our environment. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alan. And I'm going to hand straight over to our next speaker, it's Paul Roxo from Greenpeace.
Well, firstly, I just echo everything that Alan just said. Incredibly important moment in the industrial history of the UK. So thanks for coming. And for those of us who care about the climate crisis and workers' rights, a struggle for a just transition is absolutely essential to everything we stand for and everything we do. So Greenpeace supports the steelworkers for two main reasons, basically. One, because it is morally bankrupt to throw workers and communities on the scrap heap, especially as that would betray the very principles and reasons we care about climate change in the first place. We care about climate change because it impacts on people. And so then to have a transition that's basically structuring human rights and lives then the second reason is that it just doesn't work. When we think about the transition at Greenpeace, we think about jobs, we think about new industries, we think about old industries becoming vibrant new industries. And at the centre of all that is workers and the work they do. Without those people, there will be no transition. It's a logical impossibility. So what we do is we're calling on the government to invest and to support just transition, both for Port Talbot, for the steel industry as a whole, but for a whole load of other industries like Morden mentioned, for people in the oil industry, for people in the motor industry. All those people have to be brought with us as part of this transition, and that requires an activist state getting involved and investing money in these industries. And that requires basically two things. They need to borrow to invest, which governments can do. It's not difficult to borrow, and they need to basically tax wealth. So tax wealthy companies, tax wealthy people, and tax wealth and rents, basically. And if we do those things, then we can start to have a kind of green transition. And we're calling on Tata, this company, to basically support the workers and to cede to their demands, because in our opinion, those demands are essential to the green transition and to the kind of rights of working people. So that's the view from Greenpeace.
From Extinction Rebellion.
But I this closing of the steelworks is going to have devastating effects. We are in touch, like our rebels, our activists work in like domestic violence, things like that. They're very worried about the effect this is going to have. This is a women's rights issue. This is going to have effect on the women, because the more pressure you put on people, the more other issues are exacerbated. And I just want to speak on their behalf and on behalf of Wales and the people of Wales who are too often forgotten by government, by companies here in London. Everything is very shiny, and we have these grand buildings, we have all of these, architecture and power and amazing shiny things. We forget about people who seem quite far away, whose lives are actually being shattered in real time, in real life. And this is being done to them in the same way that the climate crisis is being done to us, in the same way that the genocide in Gaza is being done to those people. It's just another example of power over, and we need to resist it wherever we see it. And we're seeing it now with Port Talbot, and that's why we're here. Thank you.
Thank you. We just got a couple of short speeches left, and then we're going to hand in, or at least attempt to hand in, this open letter from the climate movement to Tata. Tommy, do you want to go next? This is Tommy from 350.
I'm going to read off my phone, which is never really good, but that's okay. My name is Tommy, and I'm here today from Extinction Rebellion, which is a global organisation. But I'm also here as Tommy, a person that grew up in a small town in the Midlands called Rugeley. Rugeley was a town that was built on the coal mining industry and was part of the Staffordshire coal face. My town had 2 coal-fired power stations and a huge colliery, and the main power station was decommissioned in 1991, just a couple of years after the miners' strikes ended. As someone that works in climate justice, it might be easy to see the end of the mining industry in the UK as a good thing. But growing up in that town, I've seen the reality of what happens when one industry is deprioritised by corporations and by the government without any meaningful replacement. A couple of years ago, I went to watch the power station towers be demolished, and I had surprisingly mixed feelings about it. Despite the power station not running for years, for me they were always a symbol of home, and I knew that there was no real plan to replace them with anything meaningful. It felt like erasing a part of history instead of building on it. Once the towers were gone, a new building commanded the landscape, an Amazon warehouse. The Amazon warehouse became one of the biggest employers in Rugeley for a number of years, and was also listed as one of the most dangerous places to work in the UK. Amazon factories are notoriously horrible and degrading places to work. People are timed on their toilet breaks. People wear tags that beep at them if they're not moving fast enough around the factory floor. And one year that particular warehouse was named as having the highest call-out of ambulances to a workplace in the UK. Lots of employees, including my little sister, work at an Amazon warehouse with a 0-hour contract. Amazon is known to encourage high turnover, and the reason for that is because it wants to discourage workplace organising and unionisation, because it knows that collectively workers are powerful, and they want to discourage as much as possible workers demanding the things that they deserve. This year, that warehouse also closed with just a few months' notice, making hundreds of people redundant, and there was, of course, no plan for anything to replace the jobs in the local area, once again showing how private businesses and corporations have no interest in the long-term stability of our planet, our communities, or our local economies. I'm here today because I've seen what happens in communities when there is no investment in them, and the disregard that corporations have for ordinary working-class people. And I'm also here today because I've seen what solidarity means in real practice. My own activism is very much inspired by and built on the work of lesbians and gays support the miners in the 80s, and I recently saw some images of Rugeley where Welsh miners came to lay siege on Rugeley police station following police brutality at the Lee Hall picket line. For me, solidarity isn't a sentiment, solidarity is very much a verb. We know we need steel for the transition, and we will be told by our government that there isn't the money to invest in it, but that's just untrue. If we return again to that same Amazon warehouse and think about the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, he at one stage was pitted to be the world's first trillionaire, a fortune he has built on exploitative practices, precarious contracts and inhospitable positions. Billionaires like Jeff Bezos should not exist, but they do, and what's more, they often pay a lower percentage of tax on their wealth than ordinary people like you or me. That's why at 350 we're launching a campaign to support local and national wealth taxes on multi-millionaires and billionaires, to to unlock billions of pounds of money that must be spent on investing in a meaningful transition to renewables, including steel, into our NHS and into other public services that were decimated under 14 years of Conservative government. Labour used to be a party for workers, but recently has acted more like a pale imitation of the Conservatives as a way to win over right-wing voters, using transphobic governmentals and racist anti-migrant rhetoric as a way to win over the public. And while it won the election, the lowest voter turnout in 20 years has shown Labour that the UK does not have faith in them or in their politics. For the new government to regain any of its credibility, it must at the very least scrape off the top percentage of wealth from the world's richest people and redistribute it into our communities. Whether that means supporting investment into the steel industry in Port Talbot or supporting communities in places like South Africa, the Amazon and the Pacific Islands to build locally owned renewable energy projects there too. Love and thanks to the steel workers in this fight. The climate struggle is past struggle. Solidarity forever.
Thank you, Tommy.
I've got quite a bad cold, so I haven't prepared anything to say. I'm Eleanor from Renewal Rising. We're a youth climate organisation organising for a Green New Deal, which is a vision of climate justice, which is about addressing the deep issues of inequality and poverty. Climate crisis. We know that's the only way to kind of like what people said, like why would we want to do it anyway if we're not going to do it like that. I think what we know in the UK right now is that decarbonisation is happening. It's not happening fast enough, and it's not happening at the scale that we need it to happen, but it is happening. And the crucial question for us as a movement to figure out is how
I read the section.
steel for our transition. And if we don't do this right, then leaving these communities vulnerable not only to the forces of unemployment and the sort of waste that's just left with us after time, but also we can already see the forces that are trying to exploit this to divide us from each other. We can see people like Nigel Farage coming out and saying that it's the fault of climate activists that things have been brought out and get shut down. We know that's not true. It's the fault of corporations and governments that have bankrupted their responsibilities for decades, and by coming together, prove them categorically wrong and ensure that we aren't leaving communities on the sideline.
Okay, we're just going to do another quick photo, and then we're going to hand in the letter, and then... Sorry? Yes, I will try.
Rebecca. This, after this, right?
Sorry?
This is good. Is it out like this? Good?
Yeah? Okay.
Hold it quite tight.
Final photo.
Quite tight.
Yeah, like this.
Should I move behind you?
Hang on. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Hang on, can I? Okay. All right. It's good. Look here, please. In the camera. Okay. Hold there. Look here, please. In the camera. Nice. And you. Perfect. Now it's good. Okay, look here. Look here. See. Look here, everybody. Hold. See. This way. Nice. Perfect. Thank you.
Let's hand in the letter. Paul, do you want to come with me? Yeah. So we're just going to go on and...
Juliet.
There we go. Okay, everyone. Thanks so much for turning up to...
No, one sec. We just need to take turns.
Also, there are other major steel producing sites in the UK, Scotland, and how to pronounce it. But which might be following in the footsteps of what Talbot in terms of how they're doing the transition. We also expect around that.
Yes.
Ready?
Yes, ready.
So we're going to go around the corner so we have a noise.
Yeah, that's right.
Alright, thanks.
Alright.
We'll be really clear.
I'll bring
There's nothing left that is going to happen. Like,
No, that's it now, yeah. So, just Alan, did you want to try and fit in XR as well, or just Alan?
I think that's Alan. I think otherwise it gets really long.
Too long.
It's a 5-minute word story.
For sure. I'll bring him round in a few minutes.
How are you doing? Okay, so what we're going to do is, Florence, brother, do you want to go this side? So Florence is going to ask the question.
Okay.
Just Florence, not the camera. And we're going to cut out her voice. So if you answer questions if you answer the questions with the question in it, so like, my name is,
Yeah.
my role is,
Yeah.
you know, we're here today because
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Okay, great. So yeah, what is your name and what do you do?
I'm Paul and I'm a campaigner at Greenpeace.
And why are you here today?
We're here today because we want to make it clear that we support a just transition to a low carbon economy. And a just transition means that you don't leave workers and communities behind. You support workers in high carbon industries and their communities through the transition, either by bringing through new technologies or by compensating and training. And in the case of Port Talbot, we think there should be a big investment in a new type of steel production, and the workforce there should remain in place producing that new kind of steel.
some will be surprised that the climate movement is supporting the workers who could lose their job due to the green transition. Can you talk to us about why that is unusual?
Yes, it's important for the green movement to support working people for a number of reasons. But one is that the reason we care about climate change is because we care about people. And if the very act of trying to solve climate change, you ruin a whole load of people's lives and communities and throw people on the scrap heap, that would undermine the very principles that we support in the first place. So it's kind of like a massive contradiction. And the second reason is it doesn't make sense, because when we think about climate change, we think about jobs, we think about new industries, we think about old industries becoming new industries, we think about the good that can come to the economy from investing in the green future. So for us, workers and their work are absolutely central to the transition and should be supported through it and as part of it. And that's the only way you can have a proper transition. And not only that, you know, in the UK we need steel for the transition. We need steel for wind turbines, we need steel for electric vehicles, for public transport, for trains, for buses. All the kind of things we care about need an element of steel, and it makes sense that that steel's made here in as low carbon a way as possible.
What are the solutions you envision?
Do you mean the solutions for the actual steel?
So, as in, like, what kind of solutions to this whole problem with the jobs and the transfer?
Yeah.
So, what are your ideas?
Yeah. Well, we certainly think, in terms of solutions, we certainly think the workforce at Import Talbot should be kept in place while the site transitions. And we think there's a number of options for that. We think exploring the potential of hydrogen replacing coal would be, or hydrogen replacing coke would be interesting. That's what they do in Sweden, and there's no reason why that couldn't happen in the UK. You know, we need to be embracing these new technologies and trying to be at the forefront of these new technologies. So those are two things we think should happen.
And is there anything that we haven't mentioned that you'd like to mention?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I think that's perfect. That was really good.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add? You've got everything you need? And the noise was okay?
That's fine.
Yeah?
That was good.
It's just noisy and windy, isn't it? Like, we don't. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Really
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Cheers.
I'll get my stuff. 1 sec.
Yes.
Yes, all good. Nick. No, it's all good. It's fine.
Shall we do the same position?
We can change here and then you can be. Are you still asking a question?
you can ask
So you can be on this side.
Oh, this side. Okay.
No complex questions now, my friend.
So this is Florence. If you could, we're going to cut her voice out. So if you can reply your answer with the question. So like, my name is this, my question, you know how it works.
If I don't, just record it again.
Yeah, so just, you know, like, we're here today because, just think, where are we? Actually, that might be something to say. Ask her who's here, this job role, and then where we are. I don't know how you say it.
What?
I've only ever written it.
What?
Tata.
Tata.
It's Tata. See, I said Tata in the news the other day, and this person on the business desk was like, no, it's Tata.
No, it's Tata.
I was like, what? Like,
It's Tata.
It's Tata.
Tata
That's
Steel.
you. I got that right.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. So yeah, let's just start with the
So if you could say your name and your role.
I don't work for Tata, but right.
no,
Sorry.
role in the union.
Oh,
Right.
sorry.
So
Okay.
ignore the previous role.
Yeah.
Okay. So your name and the role.
Okay. My name is Alan Davis. I'm National Officer of Steel for Community, the Steelworkers Union.
And where are you today?
I am in London. Oh, today I'm in London at the Greenpeace and New Organiser Economy, is it? Or New Economy Organiser?
Just say, today we're in London
At Tata Steel.
headquarters
Right,
at
okay.
Hampden.
Okay. So today I'm in London at Tata's headquarters with Greenpeace.
So can you tell me a bit about your time working at Tata and what your role was?
So I worked at Tata in Llanwern from 1996 until 2001 when the heavy end shut in Llanwern. I took 6 years out and then went to Tata then in 2006 to 2014 and then moved to the union. So I worked for Tata and Corvus and British Steel for quite a long time.
And what was that experience like? Like working at Tata in particular as a company?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working there. Steel is either in your bones or it's not. It's a job that not everybody can do. It's a dangerous job, but it's a job that once you start it, you can't leave it. Or it's difficult.
How do you feel about the furnaces being closed and how the workers are treated?
The furnaces being closed is the wrong decision. We understand that we have to decarbonise. One furnace has already gone off and the coke ovens have shut, which have drastically reduced carbon emissions. But critically, the people, it's absolutely hammering your everyday person. I've got friends breaking down because of mental health problems. I heard somebody earlier on say about issues where wives are feeling the stress of abuse and stuff like that because of pressures being put on their partners. That works both ways. Some women work for Tata and they're struggling to get to terms with losing their job. It's a decent paid job and there's nothing like it around in that area, so it's absolutely crippling the people and it will cripple the economy once they shut number 4 blast furnace down.
So why are you here today?
I'm here today to do anything that is possible, right? So I think I said earlier on that never thought that we'd have Greenpeace, environmental activists and steelworkers together, but that's far from the truth. Things have changed at a rapid pace and we know that we need to work together, and to have the support of big organisations like that is uplifting. So we will do whatever it takes to try and keep people secure and keep the local economy secure and the community safe.
And how does the industry feel about adapting to lower carbon practices?
The industry has to adapt to lower carbon practices. It's the way it's done. At the moment, there's a blatant disregard for people. Like I said, we all know we've got to decarbonise. If we want what's best for our future, for our families and for our families' families, we have to do something. And it's the way in which it's being done.
Sorry, how do we do, so you're saying it's the wrong decision to close the coal furnaces?
No. Wrong decision to shut the last blast furnace at the moment.
At the moment, so that's the key difference.
So the coke ovens has shut, which was a big polluter. Number 5 blast furnace, which was the older blast furnace, has shut. That's not coming back. Number 4 blast furnace is the newer of the blast furnaces, which still produces carbon emissions. But we just need a bit of longevity for that furnace to stay alive for a bit longer, so we can transition people and bring them along with the ride. Because otherwise, people are just seeing the transition as negative. It's destroying their lives, it's destroying their families, and that's the opposite of what it could be. It could be a massive success story. We save the planet, we adapt new technologies, and we bring everybody along with the ride. But that's not the way that Tata are doing it.
And what do you see as the solution?
The solution would be to look at the plan that we put forward, which kept the blast furnace going for a period of time, to allow us to transition people over gradually, so as they're due to retire, they would leave the business. We would adapt new technologies such as hydrogen-based steel making, open slag bath furnaces, all of those are carbon neutral. Carbon capture and storage is not quite there yet, but we have options. But Tata are not willing to look at those options because it's too costly and it eats into the profits. We understand at the moment they're losing money, but with a greener transition they would make money, but over a longer period of time. So the Labour government have said they've got a green steel fund. They've sat down with Tata at the moment. They've sat down with the unions. At the moment, Tata and the government need to thrash something out with the UK Steel Committee, which community chairs. If we can get a deal on the table which secures further investment, which will protect people in the long term, and that's endorsed by the Labour Party because we need them to endorse it, and that's as far as we're going to go. But ultimately, Tata have to start listening to both the government and to us. We understand the position they're in, but to export steel workers, UK steel workers' jobs and import from India and China is the wrong move, because it's still being made by blast furnaces. At least we're in control of how we decarbonise. Over there, you know.
Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered?
I think that's it.
Yeah. That was great. That was really good.
Sure.
Yeah.